Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So today's upload we'll be talking a bit briefly about the nor'easter that's going on, but mainly we'll be focusing on the heavy snow potential that could be occurring across the rest of the United States, the central United States, even portions of the west, the central Midwest. A good area could be looking at some snowfall. Now, that is very unclear exactly where it will fall, when it will fall, but all models are indicating one, if not two snowstorms, and but they're all over the place. So we'll have to get those things sorted out. However, for now, if you guys like this video, if you like this channel, check out my other videos, see if it's worthy of your time, and if you would like so, consider subscribing. And if you are a returning viewer, liking the video would be fantastic, as that's what carries this channel. So thank you for that. Let's start talking about the nor'easter that's going on right now. Alright, so let's start looking at these snowfall totals. So again, these snowfall totals are old. They're not up to date really. You can see that the most recent one is as of 4:03 Central Standard Time. And I am recording this as of 5 p.m. Central Standard Time or 6 p.m. Eastern. So, these are really, a lot of them are actually more than 6 hours old. But you can see that a lot of western Massachusetts already has a good amount of snow. 4 to 5 inches fell pretty widespread across Worcester. As of 12, you could see at this point, I don't know the amounts. I could only imagine they are pretty high. I would say they may have even doubled. There definitely are already some reports coming in of 8 inches. This was at 2:16 Central Standard Time, and right now across that location, it's 6 o'clock as I'm recording this. So, and it's still snowing. So this system definitely performed pretty intensely. I hope that you guys are happy, the snow lovers across those locations, because that was a pretty good dose of snow. Now again, that was just one system, but there could be potential for more, as it's only the beginning of December, the very, very beginning of winter. Meteorological winter started 5 days ago. Well, you can see that will obviously continue to add on, especially across portions of northern Maine where the snow hasn't started to occur yet. Let's take a glance at one of the high-resolution models. Well, the high-resolution model, the best one in my opinion, is the HRRR, or the High-Resolution Rapid Refresh. Take a look at the regions, and let's go to the northeast to give you a better look. Again, I only want to go over this briefly, as I've been making videos on this for the past several days, and not really much has changed. And of course, for the best official, most accurate information, go to the National Weather Service. Always. So notice right now Boston has changed it over to snow. I was looking at their webcam. It was a bit laggy. I'm surprised that I even found a working webcam, because oftentimes the webcams are unsupported or they're, kind of removed. I found one, I managed to find one, and it was all clouded over. It looked like it was snowing pretty heavily. There may be some change back over across the western edge of the snow. In Hartford, Connecticut, there's probably a bit of rain going on. But notice, this continues. This is now 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, so what we are really right now at, and it will continue to pretty quickly go away from the Connecticut area and far western Massachusetts. But Boston sticks around in that snow for quite a while, even into late tonight, 11 p.m. This is at 12 Eastern time. And notice that, again, the snow is falling very heavily across Maine. It's getting colder, so the snowfall ratios are increasing, but definitely a very strong system, lots of strong winds. It definitely caused quite a disturbance across those locations. If we were to take a look at the additional snowfall, assuming a 10-to-1 ratio, again, I would say that many of these amounts are lower than they should be, because it's a 10-to-1 ratio. A lot of this will be falling at an 11, maybe even a 12-to-1 ratio, which is still considered a bit of a wet snow. It's not just an absolute slush like we've been seeing across portions of Massachusetts and Connecticut and Rhode Island, where it's almost like a slushy coming out of the sky. I mean, quite literally, that's what it is. And once it hits the warm pavements, relatively warm pavements, it turns into even more of a mess. But notice, again, very heavy snow still expected into southern Canada as well. Quebec, the city, is kind of on the line between seeing no snow and a bit of snow to very heavy snow. So again, the gradient is pretty tight. Boston, according to this model, assuming a 10-to-1 ratio, I would say that these amounts should be a bit lower, as it will not be falling at a 10-to-1, but rather closer to a 6 or 7 or even maybe a 5, between that range. Still, though, I would say 4 inches should be expected across those locations. Maybe a bit less, I would honestly say at this point, especially since this is an hour old. 1 to 3 inches additionally, not wouldn't be uncalled for. Let's take a look now at the rest of the United States, as that's what the video is about, and let's take a glance at the GFS model. So let's start off with the GFS, and we'll go through as many models as I can in this video. So again, we have that nor'easter pulling away from the coast. We go into Sunday. This is Sunday afternoon, really calm. What we could be having is across the Great Lakes is a bit of a wind from the north. It doesn't look as if the isobars support that, but there will be. The high-resolution models are showing a bit of snow showers, rain showers across Chicago, Milwaukee, maybe even seeing some portions of Canada into maybe Detroit, Marquette, off Lake Erie and Ontario. Again, this would most likely just be kind of a nuisance. Really nothing accumulating out of those showers, but definitely something to still point out about. Notice we do have a bit of rain across portions of Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. This is going to contribute to a very large nor'easter that spins off. It doesn't affect the United States. It looks as if it won't at all. It could provide a bit of snow shower activity across Virginia, West Virginia, North Carolina, especially the higher elevations. Now, to the extent of how limited that will be is a bit tough to see, but notice this thing is loaded with precipitation as it pushes out into the Atlantic and eventually into the North Atlantic. Again, you could see it misses the United States by a pretty large margin. Now, as we push forward into the week, you can see this is Tuesday, Wednesday. Much of the United States is warm and dry. See that? That's where the 32-degree line is. This is very uncalled for, especially at this time of the year. If we were to look at the anomalies, they would be off the charts almost, reaching into that 20 Celsius degree range, which is very, very above average. 2-meter temperature shaded. That looks more like mid-November to early November rather than early to mid-December. So it's definitely a shocker, and that seems to be supported by most models. Though again, it won't be there for long. It won't be a stretch of 2 weeks of warmth. Rather, a couple of days as we quickly start seeing the pattern break. So we already start seeing the temperatures kind of slide down. Still very warm across the southern United States. It won't be hot, right? It's December. It will be hard to find hot temperatures, maybe across the extreme southern United States. But rather pleasant, pleasant conditions before, if you will, Christmas. And not really Christmassy like, but that will change. So notice, we start seeing a pretty significant chunk of moisture, slug of moisture come off the Mexico into Texas, New Mexico, into Oklahoma. And while there is a lot of cold air absence, this storm still is able to tap into that cold air. And look, the GFS by next weekend, again, this is still pretty far out, right? It's a weekend ahead. But again, this is considered the medium range. 150 hours out is not ridiculously far out. It is, though, enough far out to, expect lots of changes and dramatic forecast altercations, or altering, not really altercations, that's the wrong word choice there. But notice that into Iowa, Minnesota, and Wisconsin, this is, again, very early. The track probably will change. The timing will as well. It's just the fact that it's showing something, and that probably will occur. The intensity, how much snow, how much rain is a bit early. I just want to show you that the potential for heavy snow is there. Notice this thing books it out into northern Canada, into the northern United States, into southern Canada, through the UP. It's really not a strong system, but it still has a lot of precipitation, which allows it to be a heavy snow producer. We do see a bit more cold air move in, around average for these locations. Nothing bitter cold. And if you were to ask me, if you recall, I made a video a couple days ago about that potential system, about December and what I think it will hold. I am pretty strongly confident at this point that December will be at least on the warmer side. I don't know how warm, but I think it will be rather snowy. That may seem counterintuitive, but I think there will be an active pattern, lots of precipitation, and it's December. You don't need bitter conditions to see snow. You wouldn't want bitter conditions to see snow. If you see Arctic outbreaks, you often see lack of precipitation, lack of moisture, lack of snow. So I think it will be a warmer December, and people may be all grunting at that, but I think it will be snowier. I mean, look, we're starting off this year very strong across portions of the Northeast. Boston has already seen more snow this year than last year, and obviously last year wasn't much of a year, but it's an improvement. So notice that we see another band of snow develop into pretty far south Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, and this rides up again, affecting a different location, kind of Indiana, Detroit, Cleveland, maybe seeing even more snow. So interesting, right? You can see that it's showing a lot of activity. Again, the timing and track of this is 100% uncertain, I would say. But notice, we do see more cold air towards 10 days out before Christmas. And notice that as we get closer and closer towards Christmas, the pattern gets kind of interesting. We see little shots of warm air, though lots of precipitation, including the west, the southwest almost getting in on some of that, the northwest obviously, the plains seeing quite a bit of interesting weather, and again, potentially another snowstorm. So, the weather will just remain active, and at this point, if I were to look at the total snowfall accumulations, it would obviously look pretty high, and again, don't take these forecast amounts into consideration. Really just know that the potential is there. And if you live across Minneapolis and you're looking at this and are like, darn it, we won't see snow. Again, that probably will change. Will you see snow? Maybe not, maybe yes, but we'll have to see how it changes, right? Again, same goes to any of these locations. If we were to take a glance at the total positive snow that changed, okay, this only goes out to 216 because it's still progressing. It's still loading, if you will. Same with the 10-to-1 snowfall ratio amount. Let's go back one model run and show you that what the previous model was showing. You can see it was limiting the snow across the Midwest, quite a bit across the Northeast. Obviously, some from the storm we have going on right now, but additional snow on its way. The northwestern United States, southwestern Canada, just seeing absolute shovelfuls of snow falling, and that seems to be the trend. And I know that lots of Montana, Wyoming, Idaho had a very strong start of the snowy season, right? But I know I've gotten comments before, and I saw it on the news that they're just absolutely dry. There's lack of snow. It's been very warm. Ski resorts can't open, but it looks as if change is on its way, and it's gonna get better, if you will, for the snow lovers and for the ski resorts. Now you can see right here, not a lot of snow, right? But for the mountainous areas, quite a bit, and this is just one model run. If you look back at the 6th morning o'clock one, again, more snow, again, across the Northwest, just copious amounts of snow, my goodness. And quite a bit of snow across the Midwest, the Northeast. We go one model run back. I'm just showing you that the consistency has been there. And let's take a look at other models. The GFS Parallel, a improved so-called GFS model. Notice, this is just to 240 hours. Lots of snow potential, right? And the model run prior to that, so 24 hours ago, similar results. You could see there was a snow system. But let's focus on the most recent one and take you through what that one is showing. MSLP and precipitation. The snow that I just showed you, the snow totals were through 240 hours, right? But I will be showing you the simulated radar. Again, it's really just a prediction. It's not really accurate at all in terms of how the radar will look, but it gives us a general sense of, the storm track and how it may unfold. So these models are kind of like a mystery that you just have to kind of puzzle out, and it's very hard, to be honest with you, but I will be showing you this through 384 hours, unlike the snowpack, which was through 240 hours. Alright, let's put this into motion. Again, you can see this is a bit of an older model run since it still has the nor'easter positioned across Virginia. As of when it came out, that was true, but that was, at midnight Friday. And notice, or 12 a.m., 12 to 1 a.m. Saturday early morning. So notice that really happened like forecasted. The GFS Parallel did a really good job with that. Most models did a fairly good job towards the end. But notice we do have that nor'easter, potential nor'easter right across the North Atlantic. It doesn't affect the United States other than Florida and the south with some rain and a bit of snow across the Virginia, maybe West Virginia, and into portions of the DC area. Again, it won't be heavy if it does fall, and if it doesn't, then there will be no snow. But you can see that pushes off, really misses the U.S. by quite a big margin. And notice that the GFS Parallel also supports the fact that there will be very warm temperatures. And notice that they are pretty warm, but we do start seeing that cold air increase across the United States, and it starts occurring pretty quickly down into, spreading into towards the south. We see a slug of moisture that the GFS, if you recall, the operational GFS, developed a snowstorm out of. The GFS Parallel doesn't do anything out of it. It just pushes it to the north and leaves it there, develops a bit of snow across Canada. Now, the GFS Parallel takes the second wave, brings it further to the north that the GFS showed further to the south, and delivers snow across much of Illinois, Iowa, Wisconsin. Again, this is a bit too far out to give details, and if you're going to ask me how much, will my location see, I won't be able to answer it with a snowfall amount, but I will be able to answer it maybe with the likelihood, chance, and details, regarding the likelihood, but not the amount. So feel free to ask, but again, don't expect a detailed answer, because anyone that thinks they can provide a detailed answer can't. I mean, it's just not possible. So notice that occurs. We have that potential snow across the northeast again with that system, and the pattern continues to be active and cold and snowy. We see a very the cold air remaining. We see another system occurring according to the parallel, and yet another, possibly even nor'easter. So again, a very, very active pattern. It looks exciting. December last year at this time was looking much more dull. This December looks much more active. Again, I don't think it will be really cold. I don't think, though, it will be as warm as last year. I don't know if you remember, especially those across the Midwest. There was last December, I think it was Christmas Eve, I was outside and it was 59 or 58 degrees. I mean, it was ridiculous. It was nice, right? It felt like spring, but really it didn't fit in with December weather. This year, there doesn't look to be any indications of any Arctic outbreaks. You could see that, if anything, it will be a bit warmer. But again, it's not about those bitter cold conditions. You don't want those bitter cold conditions to see that snow. While it's very cold, and that's some people like that, it doesn't always support the snow. When we have a kind of a pattern going back and forth between some warm, some cold, that is very, very conducive for some large snowstorms, an active pattern, a wedge pattern, and that's typical with the La Nina. So, interesting. You can see the GFS parallel doesn't support cold conditions, and while this looks like a heat wave, if you look at the 2-meter temperature shaded, it's relatively chilly. I mean, of course, it's not 20 to 18 degrees or in the teens below zero. It's relatively chilly, and most nights still, dip into the freezing, and obviously it varies. Here it's very warm at this time, then a couple days prior to that it was cold. So again, variation will be happening, and the models differentiate themselves every hour pretty much. So let's take a look at the Canadian model. Let me just show you right off the bat what it shows in terms of snowfall. You can see it definitely keeps it more limited to the north, doesn't show as much as the other models for the northwest. But again, this is just one of many models, and to be honest, it still shows more of a snowy pattern than what we've been seeing, and shows indications in the long run of a more cold biased. It shows more bias. It shows more of a cold trending leaning pattern, which would indicate colder air but lack of precipitation. So let's take a look at this. We have that nor'easter going on, right? We have a bit of that showery activity across the lakes. Again, doesn't look significant, though it could be a bit of a nuisance. We do have that nor'easter that pulls away off the coast. Again, pretty far off. The Canadian shows ocean effect across portions of Massachusetts, Providence. Ocean effect is basically like the lake effect. Because of the winds, you can see they're steering it off onto the shores. That would most likely lead to a bit of visibility reduced, and that's about it. Again, more of a nuisance. That would be around that Tuesday time frame. And as we push forward, again, very warm conditions, a potential clipper across the northeast into portions of even New York City getting some of that snow. We'll have to see. Again, this is an active pattern, lots of snow potential. And here's the Canadian. It doesn't develop a snowstorm versus the GFS parallel or the GFS operational. They both create a pretty large system. This one creates a decent storm, but further to the north and east, so it doesn't really affect a good portion of the United States. And as we push this into motion, you can see the Canadian keeps more of a north-west to southeast pattern, and there is obviously mention of snow, but there is quite a bit of cold air with the Canadian locked up to the north, which we'll have to see. The Canadian has been kind of supportive of that. May not, happen, or may will, or it may. This is the European. Again, I'm showing this model last because that's just how this video worked out. I don't have a specific order in how I show my models. There's no specific order to my life, let alone showing models. It's the least of my concern. All right, but it's important that I show all the models, right? So notice we have the nor'easter that takes it up into, right there off the coast of Maine, into the Gulf of Maine, into Canada. It dissipates really, but still showers occurring across southeastern Canada. Then we have our system that brings rain to the south, Florida, maybe portions of the Gulf states. Doesn't look heavy or widespread. It really does start kicking up once it moves out into the ocean. Again, a bit of snow possible across the Virginia area. Nothing significant. Then we start seeing a bit of ocean effect into cities like Boston, maybe. Again, more of a nuisance than anything. This is the clipper that the Canadian showed. The European really doesn't support that well. but it does support a pretty large snowstorm like the GFS parallel and GFS. So notice it's a bit of a different track and orientation, but each model is different, so that just adds to the fun. And notice more heavy snow across the northwest, and as we push this forward, we see this system really do quite a bit of precipitation dropping, and possibly another system making its way, lots of snow showers. Again, each model is different. This goes out to 240 hours, not 384 like the GFS or the GFS parallel. Looking at the snowfall amounts, again, they vary. This one is more heavy towards the upper plains versus the GFS and GFS parallel, which are further heavy with the snow further to the south. Very heavy snow across the mountainous west, the northwest, southwestern Canada, southeastern Canada. A lot of this will fall tonight and into tomorrow. But, this will most likely be falling in the next 10 days, which is how long this goes out to. So again, lots of details to be uncovered, still a lot of variation, but as of now, that is it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, especially if you live across the Northeast. That snow is the first big one of the season, and I think that by the way the pattern is looking, you will be in store for some heavier snow this year as well. This year and next year, same winter, the New Year. So also, I do want to point out a bit of snow did occur and is still occurring across portions of Texas, which is interesting. That really, you could see, really fell most of that today into afternoon. So that was definitely cool and interesting. You can see this is a bit of an elevated area, but still. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you all guys in the next episode. See ya. Bye.